Pranams to all of you. Many years ago, someone asked Amma about the modern education system all over the world. The question goes like this: Amma, what is the problem with the modern educational system? And listen to what Amma had to say. I'm going to read out so that I don't miss the important words. In the Gurukulas of the ancient Rishis of India, where the disciples lived with the master, serving him and studying their lessons, there was no such thing as students writing notes or sitting in the class with their heads buried into textbooks, as it is happening now all over the world. The disciples simply sat gazing at the master as he spoke. That was all. There were no notes taking or textbooks. Whatever the master said went straight to their hearts. This was possible because of the deep bond that had been forged between the master and the disciples. Their relationship was born out of understanding and love. Now, this is very important to understand. The relationship between the teachers and the students were born out of understanding and love. The master truly cared for the disciples, and they in turn showed their love and respect by caring deeply for him or her. It was not something that was born out of fear at all, but out of deep understanding and love. The master opened his heart to the disciples, welcomed and accepted them wholeheartedly without any reservations. The master's openness and selflessness made the students receptive and humble in his presence. Even though the master was a treasure chest of knowledge, he was also very humble. The disciples were free to ask the master any questions if they needed to clear their doubts. Because the master was the embodiment of knowledge, he could dispel their doubts both through theory and practice. In the modern classrooms, even if the students have doubts between them and their teachers, any questions, whatever they have in mind, they hesitate to ask anything. Neither teachers nor students are open enough or thirsting to give or receive any knowledge whatsoever. Both teacher and the student tend to be arrogant. Both have no relationship of any kind at all, except one that is based on fear. This is one difference Amma points out clearly In the ancient days, the teacher and the students had a very, very deep, loving relationship. In the modern education system, of course, we are not saying that all the schools across the world, follow the same pattern. Of course, there are exceptions. We understand that. But most of the schools, the teaching, the relationship between the teacher and the taught is based on fear, on expectations. This is what Amma says. In those days, Amma continues, royal princes, the children of noblemen and students who belong to all the different classes of society came to the master's Gurukula. But to the master, they were all the same, no difference at all. All are students, all have come to learn. They lived together, ate and slept together, and were all taught the same lessons. They had to do physical work, including looking after the cows, fetching firewood from the forest, taking care of crops, and so on. But still, there was tremendous love between the teacher and the disciples. There was no trace of anger or resentment. When there is that much love, your heart is wide open as that of a child. It was this openness, born out of love, that helped the disciples to learn by simply listening to the Master and gazing at his face. Direct communion. They never needed to write notes or to use a textbook, nor did they have to repeat a poem or an essay 100 times to learn it. They listened once to the Master, and that was enough. They remembered it till the end of their lives. Real listening happens only when there is love. Listening is not possible when you have a premeditated plan, an agenda, or if there is an external force, or if there is an expectation, or if there is fear. Listening, intent listening, Shravanam, is possible only when there is the openness of the heart, understanding and love, and tremendous interest. Otherwise, listening is not possible. Amma continues, in the modern educational system, this openness is totally absent. Obvious. Look around. Both teacher and the student are closed to each other. Just for the name's sake. They are there, the teacher is there for his salary, for his profession, and the students are there so that they could possibly get a degree. That is all. Education in the present times has become job oriented. Every single aspect of education is always, all the time related to what will I get after this? What will this education give me? There is no sharing, no love. there is only resentment. The teachers are not humble. Not all of them, of course. And many are arrogant. They want to control the students and force their own ideas and opinions upon them. If the students don't listen, the teachers get angry. Due to their unintelligent way of approaching the students, the teachers in modern schools and colleges shut off any possibility of establishing a loving relationship with the students, and to thereby help them dive into the depths of true knowledge. One of the most important reasons for the degeneration of the educational system is this absence of a loving relationship which could bring the teacher and the student closer to each other. Again and again, Amma is constantly telling this is what is absent in the modern educational system. Understanding and love, which was abundantly there in our old ancient Indian Rishi culture and education. Amma continues, the kind of teacher-student relationship that we have today cannot transform a person or help anyone grow. Very clear. No real knowledge will dawn within the student in this way. In the modern, Amma continues, she wants to make the whole thing a little more clear. In the modern educational system, the students are simply drained of their energy by having to repeat the lessons countless times in order to memorize them. Education has become an energy dissipating process. The students are constantly under pressure, and the stress and strain caused by their parents, on top of that, parents, especially during examination time, is often noticeable. Amma puts it very clearly. The modern educational system lies like a heavy, overloaded sack on the students' shoulders. And the parents often make it worse. The parents have only one mantra, which they incessantly repeat to their children. Study, 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 study. Do your homework. Study and study and study. The student does not know what it means to relax at all. Another point Amma brings is here, relaxation. Look at every student, look at any student anywhere. Most of them, 99% of them, right from the kindergarten up to the PhD level. Watch them. Watch carefully. Observe. You will find not one student is relaxed. All the time under pressure. Examination, tests, assignments, projects, what have you, and your marks and grades, everything right in front of you. And if you don't get the expected marks or grades expected by your parents and the teachers, you are branded. Right? That's what is happening in the modern education system. Modern education system is no education at all. Honestly speaking, a wise man once used a word, education, Headucation, education, information overload. Students don't learn anything. Learning in the real sense of the word. This is what Amma clearly says. This is the difference between the old ancient Gurukula system of education of India and what is happening in the modern educational system all over the world. Parents do not know the great harm they are doing to their children by their constant whipping. Study, 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 study. I want to repeat these words again. Amma clearly says, parents, especially parents, if at all you are parents watching this video, please listen. Parents do not know the great harm they are doing to their children by their constant whipping. Study, 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 study. What else do you hear from your parents? Most parents, of course, most parents. We understand. There are wonderful parents, exceptionally wonderful. We know that. They don't force anything on the child. They make the children understand through love and affection. That is missing. This is exactly what Amma clearly says. The difference between the ancient Gurukula system of education and the modern educational system. What a difference! Tell me one child. Again, there are exceptions. I'm not denying the fact. There are exceptions. Tell me one student who loves to go to school or college. One. In my classes, I used to ask this question. Whether it is MBA, MTech, whatever. What do you really want in life? What do you love to do? And so many answers. We go deeper and deeper. Do you really love what you do right now? You have chosen this because you love to do that? Not one of them. Maybe in all these years of my interaction with students, maybe I would have seen one or two or three people here and there. And they really meant what they said. Yes, we really love what we do. Very rare. But 99%, most of the students, they are there in the class, they have chosen this particular subject or program or whatever out of external pressure, suggestions from other people, parents and friends and so on, because uncle told, because auntie told, because that's this trend in the society. Have you heard parents asking, educators and teachers and experts, which is the best course, which would be the best course for my son or daughter? What are the career options? Right? If you don't know what you want to do in life, what you want in life, what you really love to do in life, you expect other people can tell you, parents or teachers or others? If you don't know, how do you expect the others to know? Right? I mean, this is very, very important. This is where knowing yourself, understanding yourself deeply, actually becomes the most important, because the more you know yourself, the more you know what to do in life, what not to do in life. The more you know yourself, the more you understand yourself, your mind becomes very, very clear. Those people who have the minds very, very clear, those who have understood themselves, those who have known themselves, even to begin with intellectually good enough, they will never go on asking people, please tell me what to do, please tell me what to do. No, it does not happen. Right? So Amma has beautifully, pointed out, this is the difference between the Gurukula system of education of India, which was obvious, all of us know that, which was destroyed systematically, methodically by the British imperialism. Right? They recommended English education to the Indians. For what? So that Indians would eventually become excellent clerks in the British administration. That is all they wanted. And therefore, to bring this English education, so-called modern education, to be frank, to be open, useless education, they had to destroy all the Gurukula system of education. This is one of the tragedies that happened to this country. They destroyed the education system, one of the finest education systems in the world. I mean, we have to know what happened. This country had the finest education system in the world before the British came. Most of us know that. So how does one, if you are an educator, if you are a teacher, a passionate teacher who loves to teach and share, where do you begin? Where do we begin? Amma has clearly pointed out the differences. Where do you begin to come back to the old Gurukula education system? Of course, not in its entirety, but at least some aspects to begin with. One of the first steps is to encourage your students, the participants in the class, to look at themselves. Become interested in knowing and understanding yourself. Self-knowledge first and foremost. Of course, strictly speaking, you can't call it self-knowledge. It is not a knowledge, it's a knowing. It's an understanding. So, know and understand yourself more and more. The more you understand yourself, the more everything becomes clear. This is one of the very important aspects that has to be brought back to the new education system, to the modern education system. Otherwise, this will continue the way it is going on. Not sustainable at all. Right? So, Amma very, very clearly pointed out these are all the differences. In fact, I had to read out because I didn't want to miss those words. So, in fact, knowing and understanding oneself, yourself, has to be the very foundation of real education, of true education. Without knowing and understanding yourself, both outwardly and inwardly, whatever you do will end up in misery. I didn't say that. the great ones. They have been telling this since millennia. This was how our Gurukula system of education functioned, operated. Knowing and understanding first, that was a foundation on which other things were built. So if this is brought back, you and I as educators, as teachers, we bring this aspect, the most important aspect, knowing and understanding yourself first and foremost, to the education system, to the classroom, to the schools and colleges where we are teaching and so on and so forth. There is hope. There's tremendous hope. The good news, there are many schools in the country as well as outside the country who are taking up this aspect of education, the real education, and empowering the students. It's coming. It's already come. There are many schools which have begun this seriously. But it is yet to spread among all the other schools. It will slowly come. It has to come, because this kind of education is just, what does it give you, the modern education system? A job? And with that, the education is over? What are we talking about? Education is not just for the purpose of job, whatever you call that. No, that is only one small aspect. We are not denying that. Of course, you have to have knowledge and skills to get a good job. What do you mean by good job? Good salary, good workplace, good ambience, comfortable contentment, all that. We are not denying that. You need to learn all that, of course. You need to have knowledge and skills so that you get a much better job. You can be very comfortable and happy in society. But that is not all. That is not all. That is only a small aspect of the real education. What is real education? To know and understand yourself, to know and understand your own world, your own planet, to know and understand and go beyond everything. To know and understand the universe, the massive, staggering universe. What is your place here? Who are you? What are you? What is your connection with this universe? All this is part of real education. To have wonder. To look at everything in wonder. Because everything is a miracle if you know how to look. Every single thing. There is no such thing as an ordinary thing in life, in the universe. Everything is extraordinary. And that education which can open up your heart and mind to all the mysteries of life and the universe, that is real education. That is true education. And Amma, in her own ways, in her sweet words, she explained all this, the difference between the Gurukula system of education and the modern education system, not only in our country but across the world. Of course, countries like Finland and other countries, their education system is much, much better than what is followed in other educational institutions. So it's coming up. The new education, the ancient Gurukula system of education is coming back. Of course, it will grow up, it will grow big and embrace every school, college and university. That day is not far off. It's coming. It's coming. Thank you. Pranam.